For anyone in a rural area, there is a constant choice. Pack up and migrate to the city for a guaranteed paycheck, or stay in the village and attempt to build a business from scratch. We usually assume that moving closer to a city is the only reliable way to generate wealth. That assumption relies on a critical financial error, confusing a high gross income with your actual net profit. This chart compares the reality of an urban paycheck against the rural advantage. On the left, the city job provides a tall gross income, but that income is eaten alive by rent, transportation, and a high cost of living, leaving you with a tiny sliver of net wealth. Look at the rural side. The gross income is smaller, but because land is cheap and overhead is minimal, the deductions are fractional. The actual wealth you retain is often twice as large as what you'd keep in the city. The difference comes down to your operating mindset. A job-seeking mindset trades hours for a fixed salary. A system-building mindset focuses on creating an asset that produces value regardless of the hours you personally put in. To map out how to do this, we are going to look at 10 specific rural business models and align them to your personal constraints in capital, land ownership, and risk tolerance. Reaching this level of success requires structurally exploiting the village's low competition and low overhead environment. This quadrant chart plots our business models based on the capital you need and how fast you see a return. We will start with those who possess land but lack massive liquid capital. These three options sit in the center: smart farming, dairy, and poultry. Smart farming involves moving acres away from traditional low-margin grains. By rotating into high-value outputs like organic vegetables, mushrooms, or dragon fruit, you can drastically increase your profit margin on the same plot of land. The dairy business requires a similar shift. Selling raw milk to a local collector keeps your margins thin. Establishing a processing system to create value-added goods like organic ghee or paneer allows you to capture premium urban pricing from your village. The trade-off here is risk. You lose the safety net of government grain procurement and become entirely responsible for managing your own local supply chain. If you need cash flow more quickly within this landowning category, small-scale poultry farming is a high-speed option. However, poultry is extremely vulnerable to disease. Without learning strict operational planning and biosecurity systems, a single outbreak can erase your entire investment in days. Owning land only provides a path to wealth if you optimize it into a modern commercial supply chain. For those with significant startup funds or access to loans, the strategy moves to the top right quadrant. This is where we build infrastructure moats. Cold storage facilities and transport networks solve the two biggest bottlenecks in a rural economy: spoilage and logistics. These assets create a localized monopoly. Local farmers and regional traders eventually rely on these facilities to keep their own operations viable. You can apply the same logic to the rural construction boom. Supplying heavy building materials, cement, bricks, and steel allows you to capture the cash flow generated by local development. Construction relies on repeat customers. Once a local contractor starts a major project with your supply yard, they are unlikely to switch mid-build. The downside is the timeline. You will face long payback periods and high costs for managing heavy inventory or loan interest. Infrastructure requires massive upfront risk and patience, but it establishes you as a primary gatekeeper for local commerce for the long term. If you have zero land and minimal capital, your options move to the bottom left quadrant. The goal here is capturing the daily, unavoidable spending of your community. Villages are digitizing faster than they can find technical support. Setting up mobile repair or solar installation services requires specialized skills, but very little real estate. Agri-supply shops providing seeds and fertilizers, or local grocery stores, operate as high-velocity transaction hubs. The trade-off is volume. These businesses operate on thin profit margins per item, which means you must be physically present to drive high daily transaction numbers. Using these high-velocity models provides the immediate capital needed to eventually transition into land or infrastructure. Regardless of the business you choose, success depends on following a specific economic formula. The first law is delaying gratification. Reinvesting early profits into operational assets instead of spending them on new phones or bikes separates a business that scales from one that stagnates. The final law is localized trust. Because a village is a tight-knit community, a single dishonest transaction can permanently destroy your reputation and your business. To start, evaluate your current constraints. Minimal capital but plenty of time? Launch a daily cash flow engine. Own acreage with low margins? Pivot into smart agriculture. Have capital and seek long-term stability? Focus on infrastructure moats. Reaching the millionaire mark in a village is about choosing the scalability of a system over the limitations of a paycheck.